Hey guys, it's excuse me, it's Nick here. Finally finding the time to shoot my Boston Abe event recap video from over the weekend. I've been sick with a cold the last 3 4 days, so I know it's taken me a while to get this up, and I know you guys have been all asking for it. So finally, here it is. It's a nice sunny day here in Canada. I'm excited about the weather because it's been a long winter. See how nice and sunny it is out there? Beach weather is finally starting to show up. We're going to have to start throwing some beach parties here soon. You guys are all welcome to come up for some beach parties if you're in this part of Canada. Now, in this video, I want to talk about two things. So, obviously, we're going to talk about the Abe event. I'm going to talk about my hot seat time. I'm going to recap, the overall theme of the seminar. And my question was around the fact that, or the belief that manifestation is simply a choice. And we'll get into that in a second. But before that, I want to talk about the fact that Abraham events, it's more than just the 3 or 4 hours you spend at the seminar. I know a lot of the people watching this video have never experienced an Abraham Hicks event. So I wanted to kind of recap for you guys, what it's like to actually go and attend an event. And for us, this trip actually started at the tail end of the last trip through a synchronicity, and I'll explain that. So for us to go to Apex, we usually go to the cruises. We've been to the land cruise, or we drive down to Boston, which is 8 hours away, which is the closest she comes to where we are up here in Canada. And on the way back from the last Boston event, I was talking to my friend, and I told him, oh yeah, we could have easily filled up a couple of carloads of people who wanted to come down. And joking around, I said, you know what, next time I come down, I'm going to bring a tour bus full of people. And I kind of left the idea in the back of my head, and that was fine. And then literally like 6 to 8 weeks after I got home from that event, I signed up a new client who was a local client, which I don't typically sign up local clients. Most of my clients are in the US and Europe. And this new local client just happened to own a tour bus company. So, of course, good synchronicity. I knew exactly why he'd shown up. And for this event, we actually filled up 40 people on a tour bus and took them down to Boston for the AIM event, which was pretty awesome. Now, when we got on the bus on Friday morning, we basically, whenever we do an AIM event, we pick the energy of a certain emotion to focus on for the whole trip. And we chose satisfaction, which was synchronistic, and I'll explain why when I talk about the seminar. So here's the flow and the magic that happens when we go on one of these trips. So we set the intent to be in this energy of satisfaction, and we literally rode on that satisfying high the whole time. And we get to the hotel. The trip felt super fast. We get to the hotel. There was big renovations that were done. A brand new, really nice restaurant. It had like this barbecue in the restaurant. It smelled amazing. And it was a tapas restaurant, which happens to be my favorite style of food. So we got to the restaurant. I got excited about that. I went and chilled in the room for a bit. The girls all went shopping. I went down and met a friend who flew in from Argentina for the event. We were sitting at the bar, having great conversation. All of a sudden, the head chef was sending us free appetizer, free wine. We were just purely in the state of synchronicity and in the receiving mode. Eventually, there were 6 or 7 other people who came and joined us. The restaurant was fully booked out. There was a table reserved for 8 people, and the people who had that reservation never showed up. They gave us that table. The chef kept coming over, hanging out with us. The waitress just kept saying how she couldn't understand or believe how there was something different about us and our energy and our presence, that she just wanted to stay around us all night. And so when we go to these Abe events, it doesn't matter if it's a smaller event like Boston or a cruise. It's like the vibe is so high and the energy's flowing to this point where people really take notice. And this waitress, she was like almost in tears. She asked to be our waitress again the next night. I even ended up giving her a copy of my book. So really magical. And what's funny is during the seminar the next day, there were 9 or 10 people who got in the hot seat. And of those 9 or 10, 3 of them, me and myself and 2 other people, were all at our table the night before. And that was a sold out event. There were 700 people at the event, the biggest event I've seen in Boston up to date. So again, the point I want to get across is it's not just about the seminar, but it's also about the people you meet, who you connect with, being in that high vibe, synchronistic state. And for me, I set my intent so that when I get home, my goal or my homework for myself is to keep practicing being in that satisfying energy even if I'm in my kind of usual routine, which I kind of allow myself to drop out of that energy of satisfaction. All right, so now let's talk about the seminar. So one of the topics we talked about a lot in the rabbit hole group that I've been running is that manifestation is just a choice. And I wanted to see what Abraham was going to say about that. So I was second in the hot seat. When I went up, the example I used, I said, okay, so every time I come to this Boston event, which this would be the fourth or fifth time, I always get in the hot seat. And I explained, I don't visualize it, I don't meditate on it, I don't create a vision board to get in the hot seat. I just choose. I put my hand up, I decide I'm going to be in the hot seat now, and I get picked every time in Boston. And I said, to me, this manifestation of being in the hot seat, it's a choice. It doesn't feel like I'm actively trying to become a vibrational match. I'm just choosing. And I ask, can all manifestation simply be a choice like that? And I was probably in the hot seat for, I'd say, a good 20, maybe even 25 minutes. She told a whole bunch of stories. She went on some tangents. And she answered the question. She said, yes, it can be a choice. But you don't want that, because if you always were choosing and having instant manifestations, you'd lose out on the joy of the journey. And what I really wanted to get into was how to learn to be able to make it a choice. Unfortunately, she didn't give me the opportunity to ask those questions. She wouldn't allow me to go as deep as I wanted to go. And she ended me on the segment of refreshment. So I felt like I've got a little bit of unfinished business there with her and my question. But essentially, she did answer. She said, yes, manifestation can simply be a choice free of doubt, right? Now I've got this notebook here full of, my girlfriend took lots of notes. This is not my flowery book, it's her book. But she wrote down some really nice key phrases I thought I'd share. Abe said that if you're moving towards your inner being, you feel better. If you're moving away from your inner being, you feel worse. Every time you shout no at something, you're actually vibrationally shouting, come at me. That's a really good one, a good reminder. You're always under the influence of either your inner critic or your inner being, right? And you'll know which one you're under the influence of depending on how you feel. When it comes to helping others, you only want to talk to them or help them when you're in alignment and when you can hold your state of alignment, right? Again, nothing super new. She said thoughts are like sparks from a fire log that land on your shirt. If you flick it off right away, you're good. If not, it'll build momentum. We allow circumstances to define our beliefs, right? And that's something we talk about in the rabbit hole group too, is how circumstances are irrelevant to the now, but we're still allowing past circumstances to define our perspectives. So let's say as a child, I had a parent who always made me feel like I was never good enough. Then I'm allowing that to define or allow me to define the perspective that I'm not good enough, even though just because my parent couldn't see it, that doesn't mean it's true, right? But I'm still letting it make me believe I'm not good enough, right? So it's important to teach ourselves to detach from past circumstances, to reshape our beliefs into perspectives that are good for us, healthy for us. You have to have different thoughts to have different experiences. Absolutely, that's a good one. Are you under the influence of satisfaction or dissatisfaction? Now, here's where we get into the good stuff. When dissatisfied, you are not a cooperative component. You can't have an unhappy journey on the way to a happy ending. That's a good one. Looking at what is easier than choosing a satisfying thought. Stop thinking and reactivating the what is. When you're satisfied, you're offering no resistance. Satisfaction is the key. Satisfaction brings alignment. Satisfied is being in the receiving mode. When you're complaining, you're not satisfied, you're not in the receiving mode. So I would say that for almost 3/4 of the seminar, she talked about satisfaction, right? And I kind of understood the importance of satisfaction, but it really upped the level of importance and recognition for the emotion of satisfaction. I mean, we recognized it on our past trips to Boston, including this trip, but I didn't recognize the fact that satisfaction is the receiving mode. And she basically explained that if you can pick one satisfying thought and stick with it, doesn't matter what the topic is, but if you can just simply be in the energy of satisfaction, then you're in the energy of the receiving mode, which I think is pretty critical and pretty key. So you can always tell how much you're in the receiving mode by how satisfied you are. So my tip for you, based on what I learned at this seminar through my experiences and through what Abraham said, is reach for satisfaction. What's the one thing that you can find that brings the feeling of satisfaction, and tune into that as much as you can, as frequently as you can, right? So when I work with clients, there's three dominant things that keep people stuck. One is people having things active in their vibration that they aren't aware are there. Second, it's they're stuck in their current reality loop, right? They keep observing current reality circumstances and keep creating more of it. And then the third is they're not getting in the receiving mode. And this whole satisfaction thing, it's a simple way to solve the problem number 3, right? Are you in satisfaction? Yes, good, you're in the receiving mode. Are you dissatisfied? Are you noticing the lack, right? Then you're not in the receiving mode, right? So my number one tip again is just start working on getting as much satisfaction into your experiences as possible. Awesome. So long video, almost 12 minutes. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just pop a comment. Maybe tag me in it to make sure that I get it, because sometimes I get a lot of comments and I don't see them all. So tag me in a comment, ask your questions. Always love to help answer questions, whether they're about anything I've talked about or anything else. Shoot away. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Go out and enjoy some sunny weather. Bye for now.